Okay, our next guest sits next to me. She is a project manager at Smarter Together. Smarter Together is an initiative in Austria. It's called Together Gescheiter, which is, for us Germans, it's quite interesting. This is a kind of Austrian humor in a way, but I like it actually. And that is an urban renewal initiative, which is funded by the EU. And implemented in the 3 cities of Vienna, of Lyon, and of Munich. And together with the population and I think a couple of companies, the city of Vienna developed the so-called smart city solutions in the 11th district of Vienna, which is called Simmering. I didn't know that either, so don't worry if you don't know the districts of Vienna. The focus is on building renovation, energy, mobility, logistics, and ICT in the areas. And the aim is to provide local people, to local people, an innovative, livable, and environmentally friendly Simmering, and in the bigger scale and the sustainable Vienna for the future. So we are happy to have her here. Please welcome from Smarter Together, Dr. Julia Girardi-Hoog.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I've already learned a lot from Guadalajara, and I'm sure I will learn a lot from all of your examples as well. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I don't need to say much more about my project. Now, the European Commission, the European Union, we've negotiated so hard about climate goals, right? And now we've agreed on those climate goals, and we see now we have to reach them. This is the next step, and this is even going to be the hardest step. And when we look at the CO2 emissions of last year, we see that instead of decreasing, we're actually increasing the CO2 emissions. So we really need to do something very fast, and that's why there is a funding scheme of the European Commission. It's called Horizon 2020, and there's a number of projects funded under this scheme. I'm sure there's similar schemes in South America as well. And now Smarter Together is just one out of 14 projects that really has the focus on actually reducing CO2 emissions on all levels, including citizens as much as possible. I don't think this is working. Can you? Not so smart. You know how to do it. So, oh, thank you. As we heard already, we are 3 lighthouse cities, Munich, Lyon, and Vienna. And to add another definition of a smart city, in Vienna we say that a smart city is actually grandchildren proof. So it needs to be a city that is safe and good for our grandchildren, quite simple. So we put the quality of life at the focus of everything we do, and technology has to follow the needs of the people. And that's why we need to speak to the people to find out what drives them, where the hopes are, where the needs are. And then we transfer the knowledge to our follower cities. This is Venice, Sofia, and Santiago de Compostela. And then we also have some contacts to Kiev and Yokohama. Can we move on? Yes. So this is Simmering. You said you don't know Simmering? Well, it's pretty much where we are right now. I feel very much at home here. I don't know what these 70s kind of social housing areas that I'm sure every city has. And for Vienna, it's quite new to have innovative projects in those kind of areas, because it's hard, because people are not the early adopters there. It's hard to talk to them. Your municipality doesn't really like to go out there, because once you're out there, people are a lot against everything that they think comes from above or from an elite. They have a lot to say because they feel they haven't been spoken to in a while, and that's actually true. So we try to develop a methodology within Smarter Together how to talk to these people, because they're not interested in a smart city concept, in a top-down smart city concept. They don't care, don't have energy and time for that. They have the daily needs, they have all the children and all their everyday pressure. So we need to redefine the tools and also the language to talk to these people. So we spend a lot of time out there in Simmering with the citizens to co-develop innovative solutions for car sharing, for mobility, for energy saving. And as you said quite rightly, one thing is to raise awareness for those topics, really hard. But the much harder step is to actually change the everyday behavior of these people, to let them into their everyday life without the stick to first, because now we have the carrot, we have the funding, so we can offer something. We don't want to forbid them now the car driving or anything. So now we are at the stage to try whatever gets done by offering, by developing new tools, new technologies. Can we move on? And this is the population of Simmering. It's very migrant. It's a lot of migrant population, and so it's 37% of non-Austrian citizenship. It's very international, and we have extreme building blocks with very young population. This is where the migrants live, refugees also from the last wave of refugees, and then we have building blocks where there's a lot of elderly people. This is traditionally Austrian people with lower income, and these groups don't go together so well usually. Can we have the next slide? And this is also the level of education, and this was specifically hard for us from administration to talk to people that have basically non-academic background. You see 3% of academics, and this is harder to find a common ground. People are not so used to innovation when they don't have university training. A lot of unemployed people, and yeah, the single household rate is the same. Next slide, please. So what we did is we went to social housing blocks, and we started to renovate, and this is really change for people, right? This is change management. We need to do change management for governance learning, just as Joachim said, like moving from a paternalistic approach. We want so much good, we just don't want to talk to people. The people in administration spend so much time, so many experts trying to find out the very best way to do it, and then they do it, and then they are really surprised that people are not thankful for it. But maybe they developed it the wrong way all along, right? So we need to take those experts, take them out there to the tenants before renovation, and ask them what is important to you. And it's actually trees they like, trees that their heart depends on. And then there are technical reasons in Austria for fire standards or something that the trees have to go away because the fire brigade needs to be there really fast and everything. And this matters to people. So we try to find out what is the most important for the tenants there, and then we find technical solutions that the trees can survive, but also how they can save energy in their everyday lives, and also how they can use car sharing and maybe let go of their second car or of their only car. But this is a lot of trust building needed to actually find a common ground with people. You need to find out about their everyday lives. You need them to listen to you, to trust you, that you really want good for them. And this, you need to spend physically a lot of time there. And this is nothing you can do digitally, actually. We spent a lot of time trying to get them to read newsletters and also to make them come to information events like this. Then usually 2 or 3 people come, even if it's on a Friday afternoon with a lot of free cake and everything. So it's like you really have to spend a lot of time there, and you get a lot of anger first with every time changes occur that you don't want yourself. People are afraid for very humane reasons, and we just try to teach also the technical departments, the housing owners, to deal with their tenants, with their citizens in these situations, and to do this change together. So next slide, please. And this is also, we try to challenge our internal technical departments. We told them we want a zero energy gym, you can do that. And they said, no, it's not possible. We have so many restrictions and it has to be super cheap, the building we do. But we had the funding, so we could use a little carrot. And so we developed, we have the challenge of of the climate change, that the summers are increasingly hot. So we have heat islands, and we need to think of how to cool the buildings rather than heat them. Well, the heating will be soon not so necessary anymore. So we need to use geothermal energy. We need to take the heat out in winter, and we need to take the cold out in summer. So there is technology in place. It's slightly more expensive when applying it, but then you can save money over time. And for this building now, we expect a return of invest within 10 years. So we really had to force our departments to build, to try to trust in this new technology. That is not rocket science, it's been done for years, but it takes some time to really grow into administration, to somehow alter their own standards, to be more brave and to change to use different and more advanced technology. Next slide, please. So this is the aspects of co-creation. I can give you more details on that later, but we developed a mobility point together with the city utility company that provides all the public transport. And also there we need to rethink. It's essential to have good subways and buses working, but then it's about the last mile. How do people get from the last metro stop to their home? It's a kilometer often. And then you need to support them there. So that's why we built mobility points, so you can rent a bike, a cargo bike, or even a scooter, and do the last mile. So to make it even easier for them to not possess an own car. And then we did the car sharing. It was incredibly difficult in the beginning to make people use it, because the wealthier ones, they had 2 cars already, and they told me that their own car doesn't cost anything, it's for free, which is quite ridiculous when you think of how much a car actually costs annually. But they, in their own opinion, it's like the car is for free, they don't need an extra car now. But now they drive them like crazy, the car sharing cars, because they formed some sort of activity group around them. They tend after the cars, they meet monthly to discuss how to look after the cars, to change winter tires to summer tires. And I sometimes call it urban gardening for men, because it's mostly men meeting. And they like the social effect of that car sharing. They can talk technical details about the cars, they love it. And also they drive it a lot. So now we try to roll it out. Next slide, please.
Then they go to the Baumarkt afterwards, like in the typical, I don't know the word for it.
And this is what, after a lot of failures that we had, trying to invite people to information events at certain places, we were there pretty much alone. This is nothing they need in their everyday lives. People from over there would never probably come here if you do an open invitation. And maybe Berlin people are different, but in Simmering we were there pretty much alone. So we realized we need to be on their daily ways. We need to be in public space, physically present. We always had some things for children, some torches where they could produce energy, so a bike generator, always some offers for everybody to easily pick up. We developed an energy quiz where they could identify the most energy consuming items in their household, and that kind of thing worked. And then after 6 weeks we moved on to the next place, and really were there where the people are. We really figured we need to go closer to the people. And also, beat the street gamification definitely works. I think people in Guadalajara are quite similar to in Simmering, because we had, and it's actually a British thing, you put sensor boxes for 6 weeks, and then every school kid is given 2 chip cards, one for themselves to put, and then they go to the boxes and cash points, and they have to walk to those boxes. They're in parks and on pathways. And also they can give 1 card to the parents, and they can get as many cards as they want. And then for 6 weeks they cash points, and the school that actually cashes most points gets a symbolic award, 700 euros for whatever gymnastics things they need. But that rocked Simmering. Like after not like always having 4 people and our information events, we had 6,500 active users for 6 weeks. I had people calling me 8 in the morning. It's like, where are the points? We walked until midnight and I don't see the points. So this is really what, this is the father dragging his whole family out walking and cash pointing. So this is really, it needs to be fun for people, like trying to tell them how to save energy. It doesn't interest them at all. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, and you see some of the pictures, and we really try to get people to try e-bikes, to try e-cars. They often have never been in contact with that technology. It's really about getting their hands on it. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is basically what I talked about, a lot of children. This is the gamification project. Next slide. And then I was also asked about some more pictures. Next slide, please. And then we actually encouraged the municipality, like the district mayor, to block the street. We had it blocked for the building of the zero energy gym. It was only a parking street, really. But then the school immediately used it for the breaks, and also then in the afternoon, elderly ladies came. And then now we encouraged the district mayor to keep it permanently car-free. And so this is really a process for people in the neighborhood, and this is also what we call a smart city. It's not just the technology, it's really like applying or increasing the quality of life wherever possible. Next slide, please. And this is now the climate change that I talked about. This is really how can we deal with the increasing heat and drought. We're going to have very dry seasons and very wet seasons, so we need to improve the blue and the green infrastructure in Vienna. So we can go into detail later, and I brought some heavy books with me so that you can take it. They're in English. Basically, we developed an urban heat island strategy. We need to put more green on buildings and in public places. We need to save water. We need to quickly get it off the surfaces, but save it to keep the green, to feed it back into the green that we are probably going to have much more. And this has a lot of effects on the city's standards, on all the definitions that we have on a safe facade, on how we calculate the pathways and everything. But it's a process that we need to do very fast, because last year we had more mortalities from the summer heat than from traffic. So this is really, it's not about just a feel-good thing, it's about life and death soon, and we have vulnerable groups like young children and elderly people that physically cannot take the heat. So we, as a city administration, need to think of how to quickly shape cool places for our vulnerable groups during the summer. I think that was it. I think one more picture. And this is just an innovative thing from Civic, actually. This is like, because in a city center, very dense city center, you cannot plant great trees, so they don't grow so fast that they give you nice shade. So this is something that we're working on at the moment, how to shade public spaces. And so in order to be quick, it needs to be something that we set up, that we construct, that is being grown on. And this is the MFO park in Zurich that is certainly the most innovative, but also the most expensive example that we could think of.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you very much.